Simon's Construction Company, a case study analysis on managing the finance function. To introduce concerned parties, in this case, first we have Simon. He is the president of Simon's Construction Company and the key person of the roofing division. He is also the adoptive father of John. Next, we have his adopted son, John. So he is an employee working under the same company and he is actually in charge of the modular manufacturing division. Proceeding with an overview of the case, 20 years ago, John ran away from the orphanage and Simon virtually adopted John without legal proceedings. And after that, when John was able to enter the company at the right age, he and his secretary controlled and manipulated their division's operations for personal gains. And in addition, John refused involvement of the company's internal editor in his affairs. Thus, John's secretary records their illicit transactions in a dedicated terminal in the division's office. At present, Simon noticed significant losses and confronted John, as editors were also involved in analyzing the company's financial status. As a result of the fraud and embezzlement of John and his secretary, Simon's Construction lost about 60 million pesos. For the statement of the problem, over a 9-year period, the backhanded operations under the modular manufacturing division led to a 60 million loss for Simon's Construction Company. The fraud and embezzlement notably damages the company's image and financial stability. To support the statement of the problem, the Ishikawa diagram highlights that the financial loss. Under people, the disloyalty of employees and ineffective organizational structure are major concerns. This is also given that the company president refused to oversee and control operations in the manufacturing division. For the method, we have exploitation of authority and faking of transactions in the case of John. This is supported by the listing of dummy companies, missing physical inventories, non-existent deliveries, and other money diversion tactics. Under machines, the company has poor internal network management, especially that thefts and transactions were recorded in a terminal network within the department office, yet it was not monitored. As for measurements, the existing financial reports were manipulated and are misleading. Under materials, supplies and building materials were acquired at inflated prices. In addition, excess inventories were sold without consensus. Lastly, the working environment is unreliable and unhealthy for it is emotionally driven. These are possible courses of action. First is to proceed with legal action. Next, to conduct a financial analysis. Next is to recover financial losses. And lastly, to improve security systems. So for the first course of action, proceed with legal action. Its advantages are that fraud and embezzlement will be further investigated to account for all transactions and that the company will be directly compensated by the acquitted party. For its disadvantage, it's a time-taking and expensive process. Next, for the second course of action, is to conduct a financial analysis. Its advantage is that it assesses the company's liquidity, efficiency, financial leverage, and profitability. It also introduces revisions in financial processings and improves frequency and accuracy of reports. For its disadvantage, it assigns additional workload to employees and requires additional administrative employees. For the third course of action is to recover financial losses. Its advantage is that it's an immediate resolution to cover financial loss and it puts to use availed insurance policies. While for its disadvantage, it requires a confrontation with the guilty party and it may not cover the entirety of the stolen money. Next, for the fourth course of action is to improve security systems. Its the advantage is that it regulates and restricts access to company computer terminals for fraud alterations, and it also creates a transparent database that can be monitored by company authority. As for its disadvantage, it requires updated hardware and software, and it also demands technical expertise. For the recommendations to resolve the issue presented in this case, here we have for the immediate intervention of financial law, Simon may opt to confront John and demand that he give back the stolen money. On the other hand, the company may recoup their loss through their business insurance to tentatively support ongoing operations. Next, company transparency can be improved through adopting regular financial analysis, and improving network management. This approach heightens the security of financial transactions with intensified monitoring of potential fraud. And lastly, for the conduct of a legal resolution, although this course of action is demanding in all aspects, it provides the most appropriate solution as it charges the acquitted party and compensates the entirety of the financial loss. However, it would incur severing of family ties or may resort to broken relationships. So that is all for the case of Simon's Construction Company.